Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. My name is Game Boy Rob, and welcome back to another video on Legends of Runeterra, the best card game that has come out since ever. Since ever. This is actually the best card game that has ever been created. You can quote me on that. Now, I come bearing another offering. I come bearing another deck. This deck, unlike my last one, this deck was not created by me. This is a deck that was created, as far as I'm aware, by a streamer that goes by the name of Bruised by God. He put together this list as I believe in an attempt to deal with the increased amount of scouts on the ladder. I don't know if that's the reason he built it or not, but this deck, if you're looking for a way to beat scouts, this is quite a deck for you. What we've got here is a Swain Trundle list with Feel the Rush. So a Freljord Noxus list that runs Feel the Rush to get Swain and Trundle out on the field. And we're also running a whole bunch of trolls. We're running triple Troll Ravager, which is a 4-mana 3/5 that gets regeneration if it can behold an 8-mana card. We're running Troll Scavenger, which is a 2-mana 1/3 that's a 2-mana 4/3 if it can behold an 8-mana card. And we are running Avalanches, which, by the way, are really, really good if your units have regeneration and they don't care about taking 2 damage. So the idea is you would slap down a Troll Ravager or 2, maybe a Troll Scavenger, and then you play Avalanche, with a Trundle and Troll Ravager on the field. Boom. You wipe out your opponent's board, your units regen back to full health, and you just start smacking them down. This deck has a surprising amount of potential to just beat down slower decks as well. Dropping a Troll Scavenger on turn 2 it just threatens 4 damage on turn 2, and having a 3 health stat line to back that up is actually really scary for slower decks like Spooky Karma or something like that. We're running triple Troll Chant to protect our trolls, just to make sure that they don't die to something silly like Get Excited or Go Hard, Pack Your Bags, that kind of thing, just to keep them healthy so that if they get targeted with removal, we give them a bit of extra health so that they can get their regen in at the end of the turn. We're running triple Ravenous Flock, couple Death Hands, Culling Strike, Avalanche. This is our removal package. It is to help us deal with scout units, especially. Culling Strike hits Misfortune, hits Quinn. Culling Strike does not care about Ranger's Resolve, which is so important. Culling Strike is also excellent against anybody who is named Tom Kench or Soraka. And basically every single unit in the Tom Soraka deck gets killed by Culling Strike, so it's a must-have if you ever face that deck. And then we've also got a full set of Wolf Riders. This one's a little weird. We're running Wolf Rider because we have Feel the Rush in our deck and a bunch of really expensive units, and we would like to ramp if we can. But we're not running something like Wording Stones. We're not taking the time to play Wording Stones or Catalyst of Aeons or that sort of ramp because that's too slow for us. We want to be slapping down units on the board. So Wolf Rider is here. It's a 4/3 with Overwhelm that plunders to gain an empty mana gem. This card doesn't get... You won't be able to get this card to activate its plunder in every game, and that's okay. Every once in a while, especially against late game decks, ramp decks, maybe Spooky Karma, there'll be times where you can play this and get the plunder, but against faster based decks, scouts, discard aggro, that sort of thing, this isn't going to get its plunder, and you don't really need it to get its plunder. You don't worry about that. So Wolf Rider's there just to speed you up, get you towards Feel the Rush a little bit faster if you can. We're running triple Leviathan because Leviathan plus Swain is just... It is your bread and butter in a Swain deck, and it will always get value. This is a fantastic set. If you're running Swain, you should probably be running Leviathan. We've got a couple kindly Tavern Keepers in here to heal us up. These are going to help us out in the aggressive matchups, scouts, discard aggro, that kind of thing. And we've got a one-off of Captain Farron. He sort of acts as like a 4th copy of the Leviathan. He's just a big late game finisher to help us get that last hit in against the deck that just won't die, So that's the deck list right there. Once again, this is not my own creation. All credit goes to Bruised by God, BBG. If you're not familiar with him, go and check him out on Twitch. He's a really, really good player, and we can all learn a little bit from listening to him and his opinions. So without further ado, I'm going to take this into a couple games, and I'll show you guys how to pilot this This is a very interesting deck list. This is this less than intuitive deck list here. So here we go. All right, we're going up against Milk. Milk, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So this is spooky karma. We've got ourselves a spooky karma list. So the first thing I have to say about this deck is that mulliganing is weird. Normally, in every other deck in the game, you're going to want to mull away your biggest units or your biggest cards like Feel the Rush. In this deck, you actually need them. You need one copy of a big card in your opening hand to get Behold to work on like Troll Ravager, on like Troll Scavenger. I'm not certain we should keep Troll Ravager's opening hand, but we should keep Feel the Rush. I'm gonna say this is fine. We're gonna keep the Troll Ravager. We're gonna keep the Feel the Rush. And we don't find a cheap unit. We don't find a Troll Scavenger. So maybe we should have mulliganed a little more aggressively. And this is the weakness that this deck has, is having all these expensive spells in your opening hand is not desirable.
I fight with my spirit, not my fists.
And finding all your big units like this is just it doesn't help, is what I'm trying to say. Is it's not ideal. We could go for an Avalanche here, and then like Ravenous Flock this Eye of the Dragon. I don't think that's necessary. We pass. This is a spooky karma list. This is a big slow list. So the fact that we are kind of we burned 3 mana there and we've not done much for our first few turns, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, we can burn his mana back. We could attack, but the maximum amount this will do is just clear a 1/1, so we don't need to bother. We'll just burn his mana back, and now we're sort of even. We sort of evened it out in terms of who's ahead. All right, so he plays the Thresh. We don't care. Thresh can't kill anything we have on the board. We just play another Ravager. We could even go for the Avalanche right now. Avalanche here would clear the Spiderling, would damage both of these, and set up for Ravenous Flock on the Thresh. And it would let both our Troll Ravagers heal back up. I actually like that. I think I'm actually gonna go for that. We have a second Avalanche in the back. And for 3 mana in this deck, I don't think there's very much that can threaten a 3 health unit. Nothing to know of. Not in Ionia Shadow Isles. For 3 mana. I don't think so. So we're gonna swing now. I imagine he'll block one of them with the Spiderling. And then he actually does take the damage. So we're actually gonna get the Wolf Rider to get not some Overwhelm. We're gonna get the Plunder and we're gonna get the Empty Mana Gem. And next turn, we could drop the Leviathan here. We'll do that first. I am still looking at Ravenous Flocking this Thresh. There's not a lot of reason not to Ravenous Flock this Thresh. Alright, he goes for a Vile Feast. 2 mana. I think that is pretty much the time to go to play this Flock. The only thing you could have here is Nopify. And that's really good for us. So Thresh is gone. These units are always going to be at 5 health. And now we have 1 mana up on our opponent, right? Again, 3 health is pretty hard for this deck to punish. It might be correct here to actually let that hit our Nexus. We're not terribly threatened by this deck's damage potential, and we would like to hold on to our units. We do have a Troll Chant here to protect this, so I'm not too worried. He is at 9 mana right now, which means he could Ruinate, so we do not play this Leviathan. We will never play Leviathan while our opponent has the option of Ruinating. So we pass, we keep hold of our Troll Chant here. Our opponent is now at 8 mana, so I think Leviathan now is potentially correct, because we will not get Ruinated. There is still an argument to be made for going for an Avalanche instead. Avalanche does kill our own unit, which I don't like, so I think I'm going to go for Leviathan. Deploy! He has enough mana to play a Vengeance, but that's fine. A Vengeance coming out, yeah. Vengeance is almost always going to get pretty good value against our deck. Against Leviathan, against anything we pull with Feel the Rush, Vengeance is going to work. And this must be a go hard. So a Vengeance coming out now, while not ideal, it'll happen eventually in one way or another, right? So that's okay.
Breathe in, breathe out.
That is okay. He only has 8 mana right now, which means he could not play a Ruination. I think I'm actually going to drop a Swain. He has to do something about this Swain.
Victory awaits.
None of his units right now, not a single one of his units have
Master your
3 attack, cannot block Fearsome Swain. So he has to do something. He has to drop a bigger unit. Oh, well, if he does nothing, we're just gonna go in. Make sure Swain's in the front. He could have a Concussive Palm. He probably has a Concussive Palm or something, maybe another Vengeance to stop Swain from hitting him. But he cannot have... but he can't actually block Swain. Swain is not going to get blocked this turn. We will Troll Chant this unit to save its life. If it comes to that. Yeah, and there's the Concussive Palm. Let's Troll Chant here.
such little lives.
So now this unit is back to full health. We've dealt 1 damage to our opponent. But we have double Field the Rush here in our hand. Now this deck does run, our opponent's deck that is, does run Deny. Ooh, they're just gonna let us attack again. That's fine. We could Avalanche here. I'm not sure I like that. My opponent has only played 1 Go Hard so far, I think. Yeah, my opponent has only played 1 Go Hard. So Pack Your Bags is not really on the table yet. I could go for an Avalanche to take out a couple of his units. That could trigger a Ruination. I think I'm alright with that. I think I'm going to try that. We're going to play an Avalanche. 2 of our units are going to refill their health back to full, and we have a Troll Chant to protect Swain if he needs protection. We spent 4 mana, which means we cannot play Field of Rush anymore. Alright, so he goes for a Rekindler. He's only at 5 mana, which means we can commit a bit more to the board now. I'm gonna heal Swain. I imagine what he wants to do is try to kill one of my Ravagers with Thresh. We are not gonna let him do that either. We're gonna keep our Ravager up at a nice health. We could play the Wolf Rider here. That would really tap us out. I don't think I want to do that. I'm going to float this mana. We want to threaten Field of Rush again next turn. What will likely happen is we are going to open attack. And he'll be forced to block Swain with one of his units. But these troll Ravagers just get massive value. They just don't stop healing. So we attack again. Swain does get blocked this time. And we lose a couple units. That's fine. Thresh dies, the Eye of the Dragon dies, and we do reduce our opponent's health a bit. The main things we have to watch out for in this matchup are Ruinations and Denies. There's a Ruination. He still has 4 mana for a Deny. He does still have 4 mana open for a Deny. I think we... Which makes this Field of Rush pretty rough. I think we still play it. If he has a Deny, he's probably saving it for this. And we need to get that Deny out of him. There it is. So that's not ideal. That doesn't feel good. But we don't have a ton of choice. We're gonna drop a bit on the board.
Footprints here.
We're not gonna commit too heavily, just enough to make him spend his mana. Well, that's unfortunate. Oh, that thresh is really rough.
This'll take the chill off.
Alright, so he kills our 4-3 there. We have another one. This one actually has Overwhelm, which is nice. So, we have a choice now. We could go for a Field of Rush and try to... and hope that he doesn't have A, deny, or B, a ruination to answer it. Or we could just play Trundle. And I think playing Trundle is probably better here. I think the odds of him having deny or ruination are a bit too high. He still has only played one, what's that card called? Go Hard. He's only played one Go Hard. Alright, so he stuns the 4-3 and not Trundle here. That's interesting. Why would he not stun Trundle? Again, 3 health makes me... If he blocks with this, Trundle goes to 3. I don't think there's very much in this deck that can kill... that can deal 3 damage. Okay, so he's got a Vengeance. That's fine. Again, Vengeance, there's nothing we can do against Vengeances in this deck. We just sort of have to eat them.
Peace begins with
Alright, we're gonna lead off. He drops his Karma, which is really not ideal for us. We're gonna lead off with the Ravenous. We could just drop the Ice Pillar. I think it's probably best to always drop the Ice Pillar first. Get that mana back. Have a nice big blocker. What we're looking for here is for him to tap under 4 mana. Alright, so he's playing Go Hard. And this will, since he's playing it twice, this will enable all Go Hards in his deck to become Pack Your Bags instead. So since that was 2 and 3, he now has... Normally you'd have 6, but he cheated a little. I believe he now has 7 copies. Our opponent now has 7 copies of Go Hard in their deck. Well, 7 copies of Pack Your Bags in their deck. We're gonna lead off with a Ravenous Flock now. And we're just gonna hope that his last card is not Deny. That's fine. So he wipes our board. He wipes our board, but we have a Field of Rush in the back. We have to hope that this one card is not Deny. If it is, we're in pretty big trouble. If it's not, we're fine. Our opponent has tons and tons of copies of Go Hard now in their deck, not Pack Your Bags. Okay, and he doesn't have a Deny.
The trolls are going to war! By my hand will Noxus rise.
I imagine he'll kill my Ice Pillar here. So we know that this is not a Deny, but we don't know that it's not a Ruination. We have another Field of Rush. We don't know that this isn't a Ruination, but I think we have to play into it. It wasn't a Ruination, and we got him. He knows that I can level up Trundle and hit him really hard, and he doesn't have an answer, so... There you go. Even though we didn't have a great start that game, we didn't have a very good opening hand. You know, because we couldn't play anything on the first couple turns, and we had to burn some mana. This deck is so big and heavy, it doesn't really matter. We always play for late game, right? Having a really good opening hand generally only matters if you're playing against a really aggressive, fast-paced deck. Okay, see, now this is going to be a bit of a different game. We're going up against Mono Demacia, a Bannerman deck. We're going up against the Bannerman deck. We do not keep Wolf Riders. I think we do keep Troll Ravager, but we don't keep Troll Chant. Troll Chant is going to have to go. We are looking for troll scavengers, the 2-mana troll, and we are looking for something big, an 8-mana unit or spell to activate them. So we find the troll scavenger, but we still don't have a large unit to activate its behold requirement.
Charge?
So hopefully we draw that, either I Feel the Rush or Leviathan or something big. We don't find it. Now we could just drop the troll scavenger anyway, but since he hasn't played any other units yet, it shouldn't be necessary. If he drops a 2-drop, we will respond with a troll scavenger.
I'll write my own story.
Thought me smells something.
He only has 1 attack, which is not very impressive, but we have a Ravenous Flock, so we should be able to make use out of that 1 attack. We also have a Culling Strike, which will be very useful for getting rid of his units, thinning down his board. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's less than ideal. We might actually have to Culling Strike this, just so that we have the ability to play our spells. That's really rough. That makes me think I should have attacked last turn. So next turn, he is probably going to drop a Bannerman. I think we have to Culling Strike this. We have spells in our hand, and we'd like to be able to use them. It's an interesting card. I don't see Stony Suppressor very often. Every time I do, it really has an impact on the game. Hopefully we top deck a large thing so that these can have regeneration. We don't find anything. He is gonna play Banner. If we do nothing, or if we play Troll Ravager, he will play Bannerman, and these will all get buffs. I think we don't mind. We aren't going to be able to get regeneration on this Troll Ravager, but I think we have to play her anyway. We'll pass first. We'll see what our opponent does. I assume it's going to be a Bannerman. Oh, it's nothing. Our opponent does nothing and burns 2 mana. That's fine. That is fine for us. We still cannot find our large behold units. There's the Bannerman. I guess he must have just top decked it. We'll drop the Ravager. No regeneration is rough, but it's still a 3/5 that trades into these things.
Can't hurt trolls.
We could go for a Troll Chant to save our 1 attack Scavenger, but I don't think that's very worthwhile. We are going to go for Ravenous Flock here. Take that out.
So soon.
This one is going to be damaged so that we can Ravenous Flock it, should we need to. And again, hopefully we top deck something large enough to activate our Behold requirement. We're having no luck. We're having no such luck with our draws. Okay, so turn 6, what's he gonna drop? He's looking to drop a Cythria, probably. So we're gonna open attack first. See if he wants to make a trade. If he offers either of them up to trade, we will probably use the Troll Chant. He doesn't.
We fight
Ooh, he
for
plays
those
Garen.
who cannot.
Alright. We could Death's Hand into Ravenous Flock on this Garen. I don't think that's necessary.
Make way for trolls!
I think we will go for the Death's Hand here. We could Ravenous Flock it as well, but I think Ravenous Flock is going to be better on Garen once he gets damaged. We're gonna take the opportunity to deal with a 2 health unit while we can. Okay, we end round. Well, still no big unit.
Out there. Take this.
We are definitely not gonna get the plunder effect, so we may as well drop this now.
Smell that barg? Fear.
I would much rather have a Troll Ravager that actually does have regeneration than a 4/3 than a 3/5 that doesn't have regeneration. I mean, sorry.
To the skies!
Spaced out there for a second. So that's pretty scary. That's pretty spooky right there. We're gonna pass. I imagine he's going to challenge these 2 units, my 2 units that don't have 5 health.
Thanks!
We're gonna have to make very good use of our troll chants here. Luckily we can. We can make excellent use out of these troll chants here. 1 troll chant will actually save both of these units. And that's pretty good. Now the only question we have to ask ourselves is it better to block the Vanguard Bannerman or the Battlesmith? He's only got 3 cards left in his hand, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this is a For the Fallen deck. That doesn't mean he has a For the Fallen in his hand, but he is a deck. This is clearly a deck that's focused around elites. So is it better to kill the 3/3 or kill the 2/2 that might buff stuff? I think it's better to kill the 2/2 that buff stuff. Now we're going to go down to 3 health here, which is not ideal. But we need to prioritize saving our units. So that is a very good troll chant that actually saves 2 of our bodies here. And imagine if these guys had regeneration. We would be in a fantastic position here. We could have blocked Garen. We could have blocked Garen here and then gone for a Ravenous Flock onto him, but he would still have his Battlesmith, and we would have had to use our other troll chant as well. I don't think that was all necessary. But yeah, this is pretty unfortunate. This is a pretty unfortunate game, considering we haven't been able to find... This is fine. This Relentless Pursuit is actually totally fine. But yeah, I was gonna say, considering we actually mulliganed to find something that costs 8 or more, and we have been completely unable to the whole game, is pretty unfortunate.
Meet Snow Sunder!
We are gonna go for the troll chant. I guess it doesn't matter what we save. It's sort of exactly the same. If we do this, we'll end up with a unit with... It'll go to 5 and take 3. Versus this, which will go to 3 and take 1. Yeah, we'll end up with a unit with 2 health either way. So we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna Ravenous Flock the Garen afterwards. He levels up, but that doesn't matter. Unless he has another one. If he draws another Garen, then that level up is pretty unfortunate, but... How often do you see a Bannerman deck drop more than 1 Garen, right? Not often. Alright, what's the top deck? What's the top deck? Troll Scavenger. Rough. This is really rough. I think we take the open attack. I still don't want to eat a Hysteria. I don't want to see a Hysteria here. That's not bad.
Snow Sunder smash all the things!
Now we drop this because if we draw an 8 cost, we don't want to play this. We want to play that 8 cost unit, right? Okay, he drops the Bannerman. We're gonna play Kindly Cavern Keeper, and we are going to heal this. Not our Nexus. This deck has no burn. They have no way of dealing damage to your Nexus apart from their units hitting it. So keeping your units healthy is more important than keeping your Nexus healthy. That is always true of Bannerman decks. Okay, so he goes for a 4 Demacia on these 2 units. That leads me to believe that these 2 cards in his hand are both not units. Because he would have played a unit if he could have first. So obviously we have to block both of these.
I've carved meat bigger than you.
We'll block like that.
God.
Now next turn, I'm pretty sure we open attack again. Depending on what we draw. Find a Culling Strike.
Littles cross easy. You will not prevail. Don't back down.
So we could Culling Strike this. We could Culling Strike this unit and keep ours and deal 4 damage to his face. Or save the Culling Strike. I'm not sure what else we would be using Culling Strike on in this deck. Like a 3/3 is pretty good value for Culling Strike against a Bannerman deck, so I am actually going to go for that. Would love to see Leviathan. If we top deck Feel the Rush, we kind of win the game. If we can find a Leviathan, it's pretty over, especially since he's only got 2 health now. We just need to top deck something decent here. Something you could do in this deck, I personally think that Wolf Rider is a bit difficult to make work. This, I think, is only going to summon 1, right? Yeah, this summons a single 3/3. That's fine. I knew he had a full for the Fallen there. I'm thinking of actually swapping out Wolf Rider for Avaros and Sentry, the 2/1 that draws a card. I think that might be better because getting the empty mana gem is super difficult to do. I think the 2/1 that draws you 1 card is probably going to get you more consistent games. But hey, we got him. We got him there, and these 3/5s never even got their regeneration. So I think that should express to you how strong the deck is when it runs properly. Because we just took down a Bannerman deck that scaled out really well, and we couldn't even make our deck run properly. So hopefully that shows you how strong the deck could be when it actually does run properly. But let's see if we can get a game. We'll do one more. We'll do one more game, and we'll see if we can actually get a game that does run the way the deck wants to run. That actually does get the big 8-cost units in your hand, so that your trolls can see them, can behold them, and then get their benefits from it. Ooh, we find a Soraka Tahm Kench deck. So this is a bit difficult. This is going to be a bit difficult matchup. We are going to rely on our Culling Strikes. Nothing else much matters. Ravenous Flock can be good. Again, we're not going to keep it in our opening hand because we want trolls and we want big things. All right, we find a big thing. We don't find any trolls. So Culling Strike is going to be our saving grace in this matchup. This can kill Tahm Kench. This can kill Soraka. There is almost nothing in that deck that survives a Culling Strike. Now, we don't find anything that we can actually play, which is unfortunate. We are going to just have to slap down this Wolf Rider. It is what it is.
Smell that barg? Fear.
If he attacks, we'll obviously block, but I doubt he'll do that. Now, we could just go for the Culling Strike immediately. However, I don't think that's necessary. He could have a Pale Cascade. Pale Cascade does make Culling Strike fizzle if it doesn't. What I'm trying to say is, Culling Strike fizzles if the unit gains power, right? So if he plays Pale Cascade and Tahm Kench goes to 4, Culling Strike poofs. It doesn't do anything. We are going. I think we're going to drop Swain. I think we're going to drop Swain. Okay, our opponent is just going to eat Swain. Okay.
Excuse my impertinence.
We'll see if he has what he has in the way of healing. We have a Ravenous Flock. We have a Wolf Rider. If we can ever kill this Tahm Kench and get that Swain back, we are going to be in a very fine position.
I need time for commune, Tom. This you know.
So I could go for a Ravenous Flock here. He would need, in order to answer this Ravenous Flock, he would need either double Guiding Touch or a Guiding Touch and a Pale Cascade. Or I suppose an Astral Protection. He could also have an Astral Protection in his hand. So we won't go for a Ravenous Flock because Astral Protection would just shut us down. We're gonna have to time this properly. He can't just eat this all by himself. He's gonna need to spend some cards. Either a Astral Protection or a... Okay, there's the Astral Protection. So now what's interesting is if we go for Culling Strike and he has a Pale Cascade, we can actually reduce the power back down with Troll Chant, which is funny. So probably we will have to Culling Strike this. We can't pass. If we pass right now, Tahm Kench, he'll just pass back and he'll burn all our mana, right? And that'll make it just easier for him to keep a hold of Tahm Kench. I think we have to do something this turn. And I think that something is just leading off with a Culling Strike. Now he could have a Pale Cascade, but he'll need 2. He will need to have 2 of those Pale Cascades in his hand. Which, I mean, he's drawn a ton of his deck, so he might have it. But we're gonna make him have it. This is the best we can do. If he has a second one, then he's got us pretty well here. Yeah, he has a second one. That's pretty rough. It's pretty hard to deal with that from a Tahm Kench deck. We will cast Avalanche here, I think, just to kill these 2. We have temporary health anyway that we're not using, so Avalanche doesn't even hurt this unit. Clearing out these little units is always a good thing to do against this deck. So we will. Now, we do have 2 more Culling Strikes in this deck.
Oh, I don't require.
Hopefully we can draw down to them before our opponent levels up Tahm Kench, so we can get that Swain back out of there. But somehow I don't think that's gonna happen. Somehow I don't think that's gonna happen. I'm not even sure we want to attack. I think we pass.
Care to accompany
Yeah.
me, Star Child?
I will gladly guide all who seek my aid.
So like we could attack with Wolf Rider and then like threaten him with double Ravenous Block
Another
if he
nibble?
blocks. Yeah. If he goes for the third Pale Cascade, that'd be pretty silly. So what could he have here? He could have another Astral Protection. He could have... That's about it. He actually needs another Astral Protection to save himself from these 2 Ravenous Flocks. This is a really risky play. Going for double Flock here specifically gets countered. Here, we're gonna drop the Tiny Cavern Keeper first.
This'll take the chill off.
I would like him to tap out a little bit more mana. He probably won't. He's played 1 Astral Protection on Tahm Kench. If we can hit him with a second one, or if we can hit him with both of these flocks and he doesn't have his second one, we'll be in a really good spot. However, if this doesn't work, we kind of just lose the whole game. If he plays another Astral Protection here and saves Tahm Kench, Tahm Kench is gonna have an incredible amount of health. Okay, he loses Tahm Kench, but he doesn't give us. Oh, he doesn't lose Tahm Kench. That was a really good play. That was a really good play. That's respectable. I didn't think about that.
You had your chance to walk away.
He hushed his own Tahm Kench, which reduced his max health back down to 6 for a turn, so that he was no longer considered damaged.
Let us peruse this
That was cool.
establishment's fare.
That was pretty cool. Now, we're still not out of the whole game. I said a minute ago that if this happened badly, we would kind of just lose the whole game. That's not true. And it's not true because he doesn't have Star Spring out, and we do have a Feel the Rush in our hand. So we're gonna block Mr. Kench again, make sure that he's kind of damaged. Well, he goes for a Bastion. Well, alright, he gets a free kill on our Wolf Rider then. However, next turn we're gonna play Feel the Rush, and that is gonna be really hard for our opponent to deal with. Our opponent has no way of destroying units that are bigger than Tahm Kench, right?
Where there's a will, there's a
So we're gonna drop this Feel the Rush. We're gonna get a 10-10 Trundle and a 10-10 Swain. And I don't know how our opponent is gonna deal with that.
What did you find? Trail. Lead for Noxus. Empire above all.
The only way he deals with this is if he can get Tahm Kench's health above 10.
Well, if it ain't the
Which he could
eyes
do.
of the operation.
Suppose that makes you the guts, eh, big fella?
Another Astral Protection actually does get Tahm Kench into a place that that can eat one of these immense units. He actually just took 10 damage there, which is good to keep in mind.
The Star Child. I'll clear a path for you.
Good to see you too, Vin.
Alright, so he's gonna eat our little troll. which makes sense. Next turn he's gonna heal it, but Soraka isn't leveled up either because we haven't been interacting much with Tahm Kench. So Tahm Kench is gonna get healed a little here. Oh, okay. So he's doing this to level up Soraka. So now we are in trouble. Now we are in trouble. He's gonna get his Star Spring plan rolling.
I weave my own fate.
I'm sure there's something for my tastes.
So the first thing we're gonna do as soon as we get a chance is probably play the Ice Pillar. Even though that is an easy swallow target for Tahm Kench. Interesting. So he actually is. He's doing this because he wants to get Tahm Kench's health above 10. So right now he is at, oh man, it's probably gonna work too. So this is gonna add 6. And right now he is at +0, +4, +1, so he's at 6 plus 5, which is 9. So if he adds another 6, he's gonna be at 15. And then he'll spit out Soraka, right? And then Soraka, then he'll attack, and Soraka will be fully healing him. And he's gonna be at a ton of health. A ton of health. And he'll actually be able to eat one of these units. I don't think we can stop it. We could deal some damage to Soraka here, but I don't think that's worth our death's hands. We just have to let that happen.
Come along.
Mad respect. I gotta give it to my opponent. He's playing this very, very well.
To heal and protect.
I'll leave that first part to you, Soraka.
All right, so now this Tahm Kench has what? 11 health? Yeah, 11 health. And he can eat one of these. We're gonna drop the Ice Pillar to make it a little harder to eat Trundle. Trundle is the unit that has Overwhelm, and thus is harder to block. Well, harder to deal with for our opponent. Actually, they're both pretty difficult for our opponent to deal with, but Trundle has more health. So he's actually gonna eat first. That is so brave. That is a very brave move by our opponent, and we are going to punish it. So we're gonna play double Death's Hand. He has to have an answer. He has to have some way of healing Tahm Kench this round, but more importantly, this prevents Tahm Kench from attacking and getting supported because he will be stunned. Even if he stops everything, even if he like hushes his own Tahm Kench, yada yada yada, nothing will stop Tahm Kench from getting stunned here. Okay, so he goes for the Pale Cascade, which is not good enough. He must be doing this for the card draw. That's perfect. We actually kill Tahm Kench here.
Has come. I will break them.
Too big. Tahm Kench spits it back out. Our opponent's turn pretty much is over now.
Let his knee out.
He does have a unit that can block a Swain, but the Ice Pillar is going to drag it out of the way. That should be GG for us. That was his very last Pale Cascade.
I'll knock him dead.
That ought to be game.
It's gonna be fun.
Let's see what our opponent's last ditch effort here is. He's going to draw some cards. Ah, he hushes Swain. That's an answer.
Go no further.
But not quite enough. We have exact lethal on our opponent. Okay, our opponent lives on 1 health. Hanging by a thread. It's not gonna matter. Leviathan kills our opponent next turn. That's GG. So, there you go. We played the deck against a variety there. A bunch of different decks. We played against Bannerwind.
Remember this
Yes,
game.
you're very pretty, Swain. Thank you. Thank you for that input. We played against Spooky Karma, we played against Bannerman, and we played against Soraka Tahm Kench, and we won all 3 matches. that's pretty good. I hope you guys learned how to pilot this deck properly. I hope you guys enjoyed these games. If you did, leave a like, subscribe. I stream on Twitch every day, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to noon, and that is Pacific Standard Time. Come hang out. I'll leave a link down below, and I'll see you guys next time.